Hey, welcome. Today we are diving into something really fascinating, a totally unique way to build knowledge from the ground up. It was developed by Humdan, and it's a system designed to be super transparent, repeatable, and, as you'll see, incredibly powerful.
Okay, so right off the bat, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? A paradigm shift? That's not a term you just throw around. So what on earth is this system that could even begin to justify a claim like that? Well, let's get into it.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack what self-affirmation knowledge even is. Then, we'll walk through the 8-step process at its heart. After that, we'll look at just how far-reaching its applications are, and we'll wrap up with the really important ethical rules built around it.
So let's start with the basics. What are we actually talking about when we say self-affirming knowledge? What does that mean?
At its core, it's a structured way to build a whole universe of knowledge from a text. Now, what makes it so different is the framework it uses, the Holy Quran. The idea is that this text is a self-contained, internally consistent system. This means you can build concepts and then affirm them using the text itself, without needing any complex programming or heavy math. The whole point is to be completely transparent and clear.
Okay, now we get to the really cool part, the engine room of the whole system. How does this actually work in practice? This is the 8-step process that lets you build this massive web of interconnected ideas.
And here they are, all laid out. You see, it starts by picking your framework and a single term. Then you do a deep dive into its linguistic roots, its context, and any patterns that show up. From there, you build a core definition, you test it against the real world, and then you expand by doing it all over again. It's this constant cycle of growth, but it's always consistent.
So let's break this down a little bit because this is where the magic really happens. The process is grouped into these key phases. First, you lay a solid linguistic foundation for a single term. Then comes the real detective work. You analyze every single time that term appears to find hidden connections and patterns. You might track a word like patience and discover it almost always appears alongside concepts of gratitude or reward. Once you see those patterns, you create a clear definition, and then, and this is crucial, you test it against real-life examples. And finally, you just repeat the whole thing, growing this web of knowledge and making sure every new piece fits perfectly with what's already there.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a really specific tool for analyzing a text, but the intended scope here is, well, it's much, much bigger than that. This is actually how Humdan describes it. The goal isn't just about understanding one book. It's about using the structure of that book as a blueprint to organize knowledge in pretty much any field. It's a foundational system for thinking, starting from these basic, interconnected building blocks.
And just look at this list. It shows you how broad we're talking. This methodology is designed to be flexible enough to apply to completely different worlds, from hard sciences like physics to social sciences like psychology and politics, and even into practical fields like business and medicine. The thinking is that the fundamental structure of knowledge has common rules no matter what the subject is.
All right, now for the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle, the ethical framework. Because this isn't just a tool, it's a tool that comes with a very specific philosophy about who should get to use it and how.
The whole system is built on this core principle of open access. It's meant to be free for anyone to use, especially for learning. And there's no claim of ownership over the knowledge itself. But, and this is a big but, there are very clear restrictions. It is not meant for-profit use, and it's not meant to be monopolized by any one person or company.
And here is the single most important rule. If someone does want to use this method for a commercial project, there is one giant condition. Whatever they create, the final product, must be made available for free to every student everywhere in the world. The ultimate goal here is clearly education, not profit.
So if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Humdan's methodology is a systematic, totally transparent, and repeatable way to build a huge, interconnected web of knowledge starting from a single foundational text.
And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? In our incredibly complex, data-saturated world, could a structured framework, one derived from an ancient text, actually hold a key to helping us organize and understand all of our modern knowledge? It's something to think about.